Hello and welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to be doing a rundown of Tinto Talk number 14, which is going to be talking about some historic events in the upcoming project teaser, which everyone knows is definitely completely secret, definitely not completely revealed, definitely not EU5. We'll continue to make these jokes at the start of every single one of these. So let's get into it. Welcome to everyone to where we talk about our completely secret, not yet announced, definitely no one knows game. In today's, notably, also, lack of a happy Wednesday. Terrible. In today's Tinto Talks, we will delve into a completely new future. A small reminder, this is very much work in progress and nothing is final. Of course, they need to do this so that people don't cry and say, but you said, and then they said, but we said it was work in progress. And then, we keep going. The core of this system was that one of the first things I designed back in spring of 2020. This is a reminder that they've been working on this game for some time now, and they are just starting to show stuff. But as we kind of go into this dev diary, I think that this dev diary is a pretty good indication of just how far along the game is in development, but it is not yet announced. And I think that they said in a comment to one of the previous Tinto Talks that they would not announce it this year, which implies, at least to me, that we're probably not going to see the game until 2026, but I don't know that much about Paradox timelines. If anyone thinks that it's going to be different, please feel free to put it in the comments. Okay, because I really don't know what a normal timeline from announcement to the game actually coming out is, but I do know about the loud beep boops outside. Okay, the core of the game system was one of the first things I designed back in spring of 2020, a feature that can be described as both narrative and mechanical for the game. This is something that has been inspired by the incident system from EU4 and also by the international crisis mechanic of Victoria 2, but not really like any of those. I don't know either of those systems too well, so let's continue on. Today is what we will introduce our new situation system. So what is a situation then? Good question. It is a good question. You could describe it as content that involves multiple countries over a period of time. That sounds sufficiently vague. In Project Teaser, we are using this feature to create historical narrative that creates different experience, as our goal here is to have an immersive and varied experience for the player. And another comment that Johan responded to, I think it might have been to this dev diary. He talks about how he wants to simulate history more so than have a simulation of alternate history and let the player respond to that simulation of history. And so, as you can see with Black Death, we're getting some history simulation. A situation can have unique actions, events that trigger, and other types of unique content, and each of them will have its own UI and map mode. If a situation may involve or affect you, it will show with an alert in the new color of purple. We do like purple, favorite color, big like. Let's take a look at some of the situations we have in the game right now. And so Black Death, again, this is going to, we're getting more and more that the game is definitely 1337 start, but Black Death, it appears in 1346. This is the first situation we created, and it has been going through many revisions during the last 4 years. Black Death can be 1346, random or off, and origin can be historical or random. I really like when they kind of let you adjust things in this way, and this is pretty cool that they have all of this in here. Usually it'll happen from 1346 as the bubonic plague appears somewhere in Central Asia and starts spreading through the old world, killing 40 to 60% of the population in affected areas. I think that in particular, being able to turn this on or off is actually going to have a huge effect. If it's killing 40 to 60% of the population and most of the gameplay is emergent, if you want to do high eco runs or you want to just like run the number up, you obviously just turn Black Death off. And okay, it's not as good as simulation, I suppose, but it will make it so that you have more pop throughout the game. I assume that this is maybe something you can do, and I like that they are giving the player a choice with these types of pre-game starting settings. I really like when these sorts of things are in games because it allows you to play the way that you want to play, and even if there's like kind of a normal default start condition with the Black Death performing normally, you can choose to switch that if you want, which also makes it easier to do particular runs. Like, let's say you have a run that you absolutely need the biggest economy possible, you just turn Black Death off, or you keep it on and you give yourself an extra pat on the back. That's 2 pats on the back for getting through, the Black Death as well. It spreads through adjacencies, moving armies, or through trade. There are ways you can attempt to alleviate this, but the efficiency of it is low, and the cost is high. You could try and isolate your court, expel the sick, blame minorities. Man, if you research like the spread of disease and like pandemics, epidemics, like this type of stuff, almost without fail. I read a bit, particularly for the U.S., almost without fail, minorities get blamed for the spread of the plague, which is like absolutely insane because like a virus is just a virus has nothing to do with race, right? Or like any sort of minority thing, but like the Irish get blamed for some of the stuff in the early history of the USA. What is it? Typhoid Mary gets blamed, and she's just like this huge Irish woman. I think she's Irish. I'm almost positive she's Irish, but she was absolutely huge, and she worked in food sanitation or food production, and then she got typhus, and she was one of the few people who had, or was it? What was it? It was typhoid, right? But she gets this sickness, and she prepares food, and she's one of the very few carriers that is completely asymptomatic, and then she passes it on to other people. But she was one of the very first people that got like arrested and held in confinement without getting charged, or like one of the major like people that was just held like for an indeterminate period of time without like actually getting prosecuted with a crime. And it was one of the main reasons that she was the victim of this was she was a minority. Okay, anyways, continuing on, and other very efficient ways to deal with the problem. Here we see a map. I'm assuming it's showing the presence of the plague as we continue, starting in Central Asia, and it is starting to work its way to major population centers in Europe, where it will decimate 40 to 60% of the population. Next up, we have the Italian Wars. In the Age of Discovery, this is probably the most important situation for anyone in Western Europe. It is about the control over Italy and what will happen as soon as a French or Iberian power or the Emperor declares war on an Italian power. Really loving to see kind of some of the stuff that shaped the start condition, or shaped, the century before what is EU4 start condition being present here, because I think this will also add like a new spice for the people who are interested in the history stuff. So we're getting stuff like the Italian Wars and the Bubonic Plague here, but let's continue. There will be up to 6 different leagues that will fight for control of Italy. There's a French league, an Iberian league, the Emperor's League, and up to 3 Italian leagues. The first 2 will dynamically select their leaders based on strength calculations, and obviously the Emperor's League will be run by the Emperor. If only one league gets hegemony over Italy, i.e. owning over 60% of the region, which seems like it'd be hard, either through conquest or diplomacy, then they will win. The Italians can also win by making sure the foreign leagues are destroyed through a special peace deal. And so I really, like in EU4, have loved playing like in the boot. It always felt like a little bit rushed regarding like kind of your exit from the empire and like this type of thing. So I think the start condition is going to be a little bit nicer for Italian play, and you're also going to have this massive Italian Wars. Leagues can be abandoned and owned by and anyone owning locations in Italy can join one of them. This situation allows enemies and rivals of foreign league leaders to intervene and assist the defending Italians, and also grants access to unique interactions in order to send aid of any kind, attract cheaper condottieri, and even create a new Italian league. So France meddling in Italy might see the UK, England, too used to Victoria III, intervening in their affairs, thumbing their pie, as the British do. And so we might see something like this. We see just Aragon in here, so maybe the Crown of Castile, wanting to keep Aragon out from having power, will intervene. And we'll see something like that. Excuse me. This is how the situation would look if it fired in 1337. This implies that it doesn't fire in 1337. I don't know what year this takes place. If Austria was to be the Holy Roman Empire and Aragon was the dominant power in Iberia with a vested interest in Italy. So we do see a nice little thing. And also, you know, I've been critical in some spots there was a response to a forum post where Johan very clearly says, you know, there's going to be more content on release for EU5, for Project Teaser, which is yet unconfirmed and definitely top secret. There's going to be more content on this on release than there is on EU4 currently, which to me seems very unlikely. And it still seems unlikely, but seeing stuff like this, where the Italian wars are already in at the very game start, as well as plagues, like this type of thing. This gives me hope that this could perhaps be true, although I still think it's unlikely. Continuing on, we see the Red Turban Rebellion, and this is going to be the last one we talk about, but this is the fall of the Yuan Dynasty and the Ming coming on up. This is rather likely to happen as soon as the Yuan Dynasty ends up in low stability. It will create an international organization called the Red Turban Rebellions, which will get a lot of rebel countries. The situation can happen to Yuan after 1350 if their stability drops below 25 while either of their estates is not satisfied. The requirements are harsh, but once you reach the age of discovery, you will have avoided this situation. With that said, the situation will most likely fire in a playthrough. It'll be interesting. Railroading is always interesting to kind of evaluate, because this is like a railroaded thing versus like emergent type of design, but it's a lot harder to get things like the fall of a massive empire to happen if you are not doing some sort of railroading. During this period, the Red Turban Rebellions will spawn as an international organization, which is in direct opposition to the Huangdi, the Chinese emperor. While the situation is going on, events will pop up that will force Yuan to release historical Chinese tags in their historical order. So the first release is Song, then Wu, then Tianwan, which will join the international organization and immediately declare their own independent war on Yuan. Each rebel nation is playable when it spawns, and they can wage war on each other too. So, if you want to have a warring states Chinese period, in a Paradox game, now there's going to be ostensibly mechanics for it that are going to be interesting, and you're going to be able to play for this type of thing. The countries spawned during the situation have a custom loyalty value, which describes well how loyal they are to Yuan, which ranges from -100 to 100 and grows and shrinks depending on their opinion of Yuan. Most rebel nations will start at -100 as they have effectively fought Yuan. However, some nations spawned through situations represent the Mongolian generals who gained a lot of autonomy but were still fighting for the Yuan cause. They would spawn with +50 loyalty. If any rebel country reaches more than 0 loyalty, they will automatically leave the Red Turban Rebels International Organization. So I think that what we see here, the red ones are the Red Turban Rebellion, which makes sense. The green ones are the loyalists who have yet been released, and the Yuan Dynasty is fighting to hang on. In order to end this situation as Yuan, you will have to regain internal stability, but also ensure that the Red Turban Rebels have no members left anymore after 20 years of the start of the situation. All states spawned through the situation with over 50 loyalty will then automatically be annexed by Yuan. On the other hand, the situation also ends when once any rebel tag owns the majority of China, I almost said Qing there, 70% of the locations. It's definitely not Qing, it's definitely Ming after this. If this happens, the rebel tag, which fulfills this requirement, will assume the imperial throne and take over the tag of China. The situation unlocks special diplomatic actions for Yuan and rebels alike. Yuan can grant titles to any release state that is not at war with, giving it significant loyalty and opinion boost in exchange for a hefty fee. They could also negotiate with the local rebellions, which decreases the process for rebellion to break out, and they can call loyalist countries, those with plus 50 loyalty, which I assume are these ones in the green, to their wars against the Red Turban Rebels. Meanwhile, the rebel states will have a special CB against Yuan and other rebel states with a vastly restored war score for Chinese locations. This is going to be probably the quickest you can take land, I assume, this close to game start, and of course they do this because you're trying to reunify China, right? They also get access to an action that allows them to reign in conquered area, greatly reducing the integration speed. We of course have, an empire long divided must come apart, and long come apart must unite, this sort of thing. And so the rapid breakdown and then reorganization under a new dynasty is what we will be able to see from this event, we hope. Green are your loyal servants, orange are the rebels, and red is the strongest of the rebels. So this is Kingdom of Chen. All this makes sense. The other situations include things like the Western Schism, I forget how it's pronounced, the 100 Years' War, and the Sengoku and Jidai, which I think this is the Japanese warring states period. We will talk more about those in future Tinto talks. And here we have other situations that include things like, this implies that there's even more situations than the ones that they have that they're talking about, but this is quite a lot of stuff, that is going to be present on release, it seems, which is very, very, very exciting. If you have a suggestion of what you think would be an important historical event that should be a situation, then please post them here. I don't have a particular thing in mind. My strength is much less in actually like history, and I really don't know what's going on too well at around 1337. This is not my wheelhouse. But if anyone thinks that feel free to post them either on the forums, preferably on the forums, but if you want to post them in the comments, you can post them on the comments. But pretty excited to be seeing, these three events here that we see, because it implies that there will be a stronger amount of flavor present at game start than I had initially thought or been aware of. And I think that this will be really cool. Super excited for like a warring states opportunity, and also you could definitely mod this, I assume, to like use these mechanics for like a Three Kingdoms type of thing, maybe. Definitely kind of obsessed with that time period. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this Tinto talk. If you did, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe. It does help out. And other than that, have a happy Wednesday.